Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We are a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. A special welcome to visitors and newcomers. We're glad you're here. There's a preschool playroom open throughout the morning for young ones and classes for kids following the time for all ages. All are welcome. And after service, you can join us down in the Commons for refreshments, coffee, and conversation, where you can find ways to get involved in the life of the church and the community, including mix and mingle dinners, which there are still openings in dinners that have started now. I think the first one was yesterday. So if you'd like to join with others in this great fellowship opportunity to get to know other UUs in a nice meal around a table, you can sign up down in the Commons or online. There's a link for that as well. Throughout December, we collected for many needs. Final numbers on the Building Our Future matching gift will be shared in an e-news in the next day or two. And we collected over $3,500 in December for the Human Needs Fund as well, which provides essential care for members and friends. Thank you for your generosity. If you are still interested in giving to any of these funds, many of these funds, including Human Needs and the Building Fund, you can give any time online or by contacting the office. If you missed your chance or would like to continue to give to those, they're always welcome. And I'm glad that for January, our justice partner is the Community Engagement Response Team, and I'm glad to welcome our guest, Lisa Ross, to speak a little bit about their work. Come on up. Yeah.
That's New Year enthusiasm.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, I didn't give you $1 yet. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I'm Lisa Ross. I am the volunteer coordinator for the Community Engagement Response Team, otherwise known as CERT. You may have seen us. We wear a lot of red shirts around the area. The Community Engagement Response Team is composed of a diverse group of volunteers and community leaders that work proactively to keep our community safe. We began our work downtown in 2021 after a young man was killed. We felt that there was a need to create a sense of safe environments for everyone that lives in Rochester. Currently, we can be found working in many sectors throughout the city. We work side by side with many local nonprofits. We build relationships with management companies and families that live in I don't normally read these things. I have to speak them all the time. In multifamily apartment complexes. Within these apartment complexes, we've created a diverse group of, a team that actually lives there that can also help de-escalate and kind of help people that live in their community. Because we feel that once you live in a community, it's a little bit difficult to hear somebody from the outside that comes in and tries to tell you how to live your life where you live. It's a little bit hard that way. So we've created different teams to do that. We create and participate in many community engagement events such as Safe City Nights, movie nights, Night to Unite, and the annual Back to School picnic. We also work with local schools where we've created a parent liaison position to assist parents and staff with productive communication for the student and what's best for the students. While doing our daily outreach and engagement, we assist members of the community that are facing disparities and hardships by finding the resources that they need and not that we assume that they want. CERT aims to bring back a sense of community, belonging, and purpose within the community. Each volunteer member of CERT is valuable and has dedicated their time to support the mission of creating a safe, prosperous, and inclusive community. So we partner with many different things. So I'll be downstairs later to talk after the service, and I can answer any questions and kind of get a little bit more in depth of what we do, because there's more to what we do than just what I spoke about. We have many different avenues that we've been traveling through. We've got a youth rec center that we're working with as well. And we have opportunity for volunteers. So I want to thank all of you for letting me speak to this morning. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa, for being here and for the work that CERT is doing in the community. You can give as the plates pass. Our entire offering collection today and through most Sundays this month will go to that work as we build that relationship and continue that partnership in the community. And this Wednesday night, Tupper Suppers and programs return. Join us this week for a special building forum. You're going to receive, if you receive the e-news, hot off the presses update designs from Locus Architects within the next day or so in a special e-news. And we'll gather for a presentation from the Building Our Future team this Wednesday at 6:30. So you can join us for supper at 5:30 and the forum at 6:30 with childcare available. It will be recorded as well as repeated next Sunday after services too. So if you can't join this Wednesday, you can watch it online or come next Sunday too to see the latest designs and conversation about moving forward with that work. So I invite you now to take a breath as we enter into this time of worship together. I invite you to let today's music settle in silence and let the sounds flow over you a bit and save any applause to the end of the service. Let us enter our time of worship with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. Just a moment, the opening hymn will call us back, but I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I'd like to invite the children forward. We have a new month, which means we have a new theme. I don't have a wonder box today. I have questions. My first question: how many of you have written a poem? How do you write a poem? What do you do? You have an idea. Okay, very fair. Oh, you can sing a poem to yourself. Yeah, because sometimes they have like a rhythm to them, right? What else do we know about when we write poems? They can rhyme, or they kind of are like rhyme. Sometimes they rhyme. But the tricky thing about poems is they don't have to rhyme, which gets to be kind of a crazy thing sometimes, because when is a poem different than like a paragraph? They usually have some sort of a rhythm. Yeah, even if they don't rhyme. Okay, fair. Anything else? What are some poems about? The world, right? Is that what you said? Yeah. Nature. Being kind. The woods. Yep, the woods. Sometimes they're inspiring. They can be about the earth. So you're all pretty young. But if I were to ask that part of the congregation what a lot of poems are about, love. Yeah, you'll get there, I promise, eventually, someday. But a lot of poems are about love, and they can be about the love of nature, or the love of the earth, or the love of the world. But really, a lot of them are romantic. And so that is like 10 years from now for most of you, when you start learning about like sonnets and fancy things like that. But right now, I'm going to take what you said, and there's a book that's actually called How to Write a Poem. And I want to know how close you think you got on this one. Okay? So think about all the stuff you said, and how close were you to following the instructions of this book. Okay? So this is by Kwame Alexander and Deanna Nakato, and it is illustrated by Melissa Sweet. You begin with a question. I mean, that's kind of what we said, right? Begin with an idea. Like an acorn waiting for spring. You have just like a little seed in your head, right? Close your eyes, open the window of your mind. And you dive deep, deep into the silent sea of your imagination. To discover a cotton candy cavalcade of sounds, words raining everywhere. Invite them into your paper boat and row, row, row across the wild white expanse. What do you think the wild white expanse looks like here? Paper. Huh? Follow the burning stars around the crystal moon and let them dance with your joy and speak to your sorrow. As they twist and turn in your dreams like budding branches. Like best friends in a maze, finding their way to that one true word. Or two. It can be more than one word. At the tip of your heart, where light shines through. Where the words have been waiting to slide down your pencil into your small, precious hand and become a voice with spunk. Do you know what spunk is? It's like a little bit of fun attitude. Do you all have spunk? Yeah. Now, show us what you found. So, how close were you on how to write a poem? I think you did a pretty good job. You start with an idea or a question. You sing a song in your head. Eventually it ends up on paper. It doesn't have to be about love, but a lot of times they are. Which is what this month's theme is liberating love. And we'll be talking about that big word, liberating, a little later too. But think about how that love can flow through you. Sing a song in your head, go out your pencil, and write it down. We ready to do a little bit of thinking? All right. We will now sing the children's benediction. It is in the back inside cover of the gray hymnal.
Good morning. So what do your favorite words do for you? How do the poems, stories, essays you return to again and again make you feel when you hear or read them? Whenever I read The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry, my mind is immediately taken to the woods on the edge of a big lake. My breathing slows, my racing brain relaxes, and for just a minute, all is well. Poems like this stir up a variety of emotional responses. They galvanize our thoughts, help us convey feelings and ideas that are too difficult to articulate most of the time. Yesterday, I was having breakfast at Pannekuchen with my friend Dewey. We got to talking about the new year, and he said that he and his wife were not looking forward to 2024. They were worried because it had arrived. With the campaign season and the presidential election starting soon, they were fearful about where the country might go and what might be the consequences of an election that promises to be one of the most divisive ever. What will 2024 bring? He said with a sense of resignation and dread. I agreed with his sentiment, saying that, yep, this year could really suck. We then talked about what to do about this dread, this sense of hopelessness. Do we have to be resigned to this fate? Isn't there something we can do to instill a sense of hope or courage into our mindset about the coming year? This is where the power of words can come into play. This is where our favorite poems, essays, and passages can help us find the response needed to counterbalance the anxiety we may feel these days. As Dewey and I were talking, and since we were discussing elections and politics, I brought up the inaugural poem, The Hill We Climb, written and delivered by Amanda Gorman during President Joe Biden's inauguration. I remember that poem delivered as a tool of inspiration to remind us that our country is, like life, a work in progress, that it needs courageous people to continue to bring the idea of it forward. In the poem, Gorman writes, "We braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours. Before we knew it, somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished." Maybe these essays and poems we love so much are those words that help us work through the feelings of hopelessness we feel so often. Maybe words that we use to find are what we use to find creativity, imagination, and love. And maybe those words are the inspiration we need to sometimes do the hard work. And the musicians will begin to play, and the ushers will come forward and take your offerings.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Linda Thompson, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing those challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care or personal pastoral care, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. We revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. We hold Debbie Neville and daughter Mariah Mim and their families in our hearts this morning. Verna Matilda Kraft, Debbie's mother and Mariah's grandmother, died peacefully on Tuesday, January 2nd at Cottagewood Memory Care here in Rochester. She was 96 years old and loved by all who knew her. Services are today at Rand Franson Vines starting at noon. We send strength and love to these families and all who knew Verna. And Juliet Summers was hospitalized on Thursday at Mayo Clinic for health concerns. As she undergoes testing, we send healing thoughts for her recovery, and cards and well wishes for her would be welcomed. Here, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith is our focus. Let us carry that out into the wider world. May the faith in the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. You yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named, you are known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God and Gaia of many names and beyond all naming. On the threshold of seasons or years, or simply the threshold of any day or any moment, from what was to what is just about to be, help us to remember that we are always in process. Our resolutions or our best efforts, our words of intention, always some combination of what we tried to do, successfully or not, some combination of things going the way we had hoped and things that didn't, things surprising us along the way or breaking our hearts open, or 1,000 other unexpected twists or turns along the path. Though our past sometimes can feel so fixed and our future so uncertain, help us to dwell in the threshold of that space between which is now, where a new way forward is always possible. I invite you to bring the names or places that you're holding in your heart this day in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all the names spoken and unspoken, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation come from Mary Oliver. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together. Don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but a doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. May it be so. Amen. The hymn is Prayer for Peace. The lyrics will be on the screen. We'll introduce it once through, and then we'll sing it all through together. Before us, love. Behind us, love. Under our feet, love. Within us, love. Over us, let all around us be love. Love. Love.
Making Peace by Denise Levertov. A voice from the dark called out, "The poet must give us imagination of peace, to oust the intense, familiar imagination of disaster. Peace, not only the absence of war. But peace, like a poem, is not there ahead of itself. It can't be imagined before it is made. It can't be known except in the words of its making. Grammar of justice, syntax of mutual aid. A feeling towards it, dimly sensing a rhythm, is all we have until we begin to utter its metaphors, learning them as we speak. A line of peace might appear if we restructured the sentence our lives are making, revoked its reaffirmation of profit and power, and questioned our needs, allowing long pauses. A cadence of peace might balance its weight on that different fulcrum. Peace, a presence, an energy field more intense than war, might pulse then, stanza by stanza, into the world, each act of living one of its words, each word a vibration of light, facets of the forming crystal. What Poems Do by Brian Doyle. I was, no kidding, visiting a visiting writer in the kindergarten recently, and the children asked me many wry and hilarious questions. Among them, is that your real nose? And can you write a book about ruffed grouse, please? But the one that pops back into my mind this morning was, what do poems do? Answers. Swirl leaves along sidewalks suddenly when there is no wind. Open recalcitrant jars of honey. Be huckleberries in the earliest January when berries are only a shivering idea on a bush. Be your dad for a moment again, tall and amused and smelling like Sunday. Be the awful wheeze of a kid with the flu. Remind you that you didn't ever forget, but only mislaid, misfiled. Be badgers, meteor showers, falcons, prayers, sneers, mares, confessionals. They are built to slide you into sideways. You have poetry slots where your gills used to be when you lived inside your mother. If you hold a poem right, you can go back there. Find the handle, take a skitter of words, and speak gently to them, and you'll see.
This is Words Are Windows or Their Walls by Ruth Babermeyer. It's less about poems and more about the everyday language we use with each other. I feel so sentenced by your words. I feel so judged and sent away. Before I go, I've got to know, is that what you meant to say? Before I rise to my defense, before I speak in hurt or fear, before I build that wall of words, tell me, did I really hear? Words are windows or they're walls. They sentence us or set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me. There are things I need to say, things that mean so much to me. If my words don't make me clear, will you help me to be free? if I seem to put you down, if you felt I didn't care, try to listen through my words to the feelings that we share. Words are windows or they're walls. They sentence us or set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me.
Use your words. You've likely heard that phrase. It may be directed toward you, may be directed from you, especially often spoken toward children, though we know many children use their words far better than many adults. Use your words, a good general idea or reminder to express ourselves to each other without going swiftly to violence, as in, that's my toy, I'm going to hit you and then take it. Or, expanding further through life, that's mine, whatever it is, my place, my country, I'm going to hit you and take it. Words are good to use, and it's good to remember that words are not always clear. Words are not 100% conflict-free. Words can do great damage, and words are not the only good way to express ourselves as embodied beings. It's good to remember that sometimes words can be logical and helpful, and other times words are like poems meant to open space for thinking or expressing differently, opening our imagination or dwelling in the realm of images and possibility, and what might only make sense in a swirling of words or feelings or emotions or memories. As much as it is about being helpful and having thoughtful, intentional grammar, words are about the impact that they have on the heart and the soul with the words and language that we use. Words are not about not being embodied in some way. The messages we often offer as well through facial expression, through a hug or a hit, whatever it is, send a message just as strong sometimes. There's a feeling towards it, dimly sensing a rhythm, writes Denise Levertov, until we begin to utter its metaphors, learning them as we speak. A line of peace might appear, she writes, if we restructured the sentence our lives are making, learning them as we speak. If we restructured the sentence our lives are making. That sentence in and of itself, just one line in a poem, invites at least me to long pauses of reflection, choosing both our words and our actions. What sentence is my life making? Or what sentence are my actions making any particular day or over the course of weeks or months or years? Is it good? Bad? Is it worth reading? I don't know. It invites me into long pauses and working to have action and words be in some sort of alignment ethically. We know that our actions send messages just as strong or more than words we string together, and this time of year is so often a time for folks of setting intentions. At that threshold of the year, it's an annual casting away of all unhealthy habits forever. This time of year, I don't know, maybe you've done this. I know I have thought this. I'm going to do all the things now. Now that it's January 1st, I'm going to be all the things. I'm going to read, create, manage, rest, write, pray, exercise, work, love, play better than ever before. Some colleagues recently reflected about this on this threshold of a new year. Aaron Weissman wrote, I would say I'm not setting resolutions this year. I'm creating intention words, which is just code for resolutions, he said. But he said, the studies show things are stacked against me. He says, a writer from Ohio State University said, researchers suggest that only 9% of Americans that make resolutions complete them. And in fact, research goes on to show that 23% of people quit their resolution by the end of the first week, and 43% quit it by the end of January. So that's a little dismal. Anyway, he writes at the end of it, so anyways, intention words for 2024, create, connect, and focus. And what I love is that he ended the reflection by saying, it's very unlikely that this is going to be successful, but here goes anyway. And that perhaps is a good mantra for any day of the year. Not sure if this will work, but here goes anyway. And of course, simplistic ideas of successful outcomes are often not the point of resolutions anyway. Sometimes very important things, experiences, learning, growth can come from our fairly consistent failure, or perhaps our experimentations, or our simply trying, naming some hope or intention to help be some part of our soul conversation at any threshold. Another colleague wrote what she called an atypical resolution. She said, here it is, play a lot, befriend a crow, be increasingly weirder and wilder, that's it. Whole list, no particular order. Perhaps that's a good approach for any of us too. Any day of the year, to be a little weirder and wilder, to not be constrained by the assumptions or structures that constrict our humanity or our expression of freedom, to make space and room for play, for befriending birds, or just more space for joy or simplicity. Another loved one over the New Year said, I just want a simpler life. It's probably true for many of us in some way. In what has felt like a pressure release from the rigid pandemic days into a hyper-level activity sense this last year and a bit more, it was as if the pendulum just swung back the other way. Oh, we can't do anything, and now we have to do everything all the time. It's good to pause regularly, like the religious practices of prayer or meditation multiple times a day, to stop whatever you're doing and pause, pray, breathe, play. Once-a-year resolutions can be a little hard to manage as compared to setting intentions several times a day to remind you of the direction of your words, your actions, and where they're leading. It's a little harder task to track the soul over the span of 12 months than it is to track the soul between lunch and dinner. It's easier to recalibrate if the time is much shorter. Like any important thing, spiritual practice or resolutions or intentions is more about regular habits than one-time thresholds. It's kind of like breathing, if you need just a simple metaphor. You can't just take a real big breath on January 1st and expect that it's going to last you the rest of the year. It has to keep going to really work and do the thing it's supposed to do. You can say it a lot of different ways, whether it's a resolution or intention setting or wanting more space, which often happens after a season of feasting and abundance. We try to move towards simplicity, close that door on December and move into something else, hopefully toward love and nourishment. I think intention setting can be a beautiful practice. And while I think a great amount of damage has come and can come from shame-filled religion, there was something about the weekly beginning of worship for me growing up that still comes to mind, and I think there is some benefit too. So you'd come in on a bright, sunny Sunday morning. Maybe some of you had this same experience in previous religious traditions. And after the announcements and the glad welcome, you confessed first your shortcomings. It's how you started the day, that I still know by heart. And for some, understandably, this shame-filled language is not helpful. And for me, there was something in it that felt like a call to humility, a reminder of my need of community. The words were, I am in bondage to sin and cannot free myself in thought, word, or deed by things I have done or left undone. And then the Lutheran liturgy moved from sin to liberation and renewal. I will say it was a bit depressing some days to start off so grim. And yet, deeper down, beyond some of the trappings there, and the ways some of that language has been used, especially against marginalized and oppressed people, I also believe there's a necessary balance in intention setting, a necessary humility, to know that perfection is not the goal, unless we define perfection as being a perfectly flawed human. To know that we must consider always our humanness in our aspirations, both our limitations and our capacity. And sometimes that's a bit different for each of us, to lean in the directions perhaps that we don't usually lean. Or in short, if you think you're pretty great, then maybe a little humility is okay. Or if you think you're horrible, then a reminder that you are sacred is important. And to find that balance of humility and pride and growing edges and great gifts are always in some sacred swirl of the soul. Beautiful, messy, possible. This month's theme is liberating love. This lofty idea, this foundational word in our Universalist tradition, love, the idea that there is some core to existence or some connectiveness, which our spiritual ancestors called the essence of God, or the definition of what God was, not a being in the sky, but the experience, the presence of things you can't experience exactly in tangible senses, but in real senses of love, being loved, loving the world, feeling beloved. In some ways, they're measurable but invisible feelings of shared love, love received, or being wrapped in the beauty and wonder of the world and inspired by the love you see around you. So I wonder what words form the sentence of your life if you were to put that into some language, or more manageable than your life, your day, or just moments. What words hold it, string it together? What words bring to life the experiences of what you love in the world and become guideposts along your path of what you're trying to live by? What intention words? Children in a school not long ago were invited to choose a short poem, write it down, and try to learn it by heart by putting it on a small scrap of paper in their pocket. A poem in your pocket to accompany you throughout the day. So I'm thinking of that today as perhaps a way to hold a poem in your heart, a mantra, a meditation of what leads you to experience or practice or share love in the world. So I'm going to share 3 questions. You may have gotten a little pencil on your way in. If you don't, or you may have a pen or pencil of your own. If you don't, maybe raise your hand. The ushers could help pass some around. You don't need to write, but you can. The invitation is there. And I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to ask you to write on your order of service and then keep it with you as a poem in your pocket this day. So I'll give you a second as we pass out pencils. If you were here for the ritual of change and growth last week, you did something similar but different. So this is tying the next thread into this new year. So I'm going to ask a few questions with some subcategories, and I'll invite you to take a breath and a moment after each question and then write down the word that comes to mind, or meditate on the word that comes to mind if writing isn't going to work for whatever reason. Dwell on those words in your mind and think of it like some sort of poem or the beginning of one, some idea to start with, a poem of the heart and soul that roots you. So take a breath. Breathe in this new year. Take a moment. And here's the first long question. Preachers are not short-winded, so here's a long question. But the short version is, what do you love in the world? Maybe it's a thing or a place or an object or an art form or a practice. Or maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a group. What do you love in the world? Maybe it's multiple things. You can start writing, jotting down anything that comes to mind and heart. What do you love in the world? Couple more moments on that one. Put all that you love in the entire world down on your order of service in 18 seconds. What do you love in the world? The next question is a little more about places and people. Where or with whom do you feel loved or beloved? Where or with whom do you feel loved and beloved? And a final invitation. How might you love the world today? How might you love the world today? Maybe it's noticing or being present to something. Maybe it's baking, going for a walk, spending time with a loved one, enjoying a cup of coffee, whatever it is. How might you love the world today? And now the invitation is to take that with you and know that these prompts are the beginning of poems for you to consider. And keep it in your pocket, this poem in your pocket. Carry it with you as much as you might need this week. And keep adding to it as words come to mind. And know that the lives we live create a living poem, a sentence, an impact on the world around us, and what a gift it is when we can pause and remember. Closing hymn is 354. We laugh, we cry. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together. invite you, as you're comfortable, to place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude and breathe deep the breath of life. These words of benediction are from the Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon. Let this be the year we release our wish for resolution. None of the available endings appeal anyhow. But let it be unformed and sticky and rising, and let it be soft for God's sake. Let this be a year we learn to stretch. Let this be a year we rest somewhere warm, and when we have doubled the dream of freedom, let this be the year we fill every belly with the possible feast. May that be so. Amen.